I've decided to put together a few short videos with the purpose of explaining my background and my life to my grandson and in the future maybe grandchildren. I thought about writing down my memories and what I know about the family and our family history, but decided that the easiest way of doing this was really to speak to camera and to put these memories down in this way. I'm rather new to speaking to camera like this, and I hope people will forgive me if I falter in what I have to say. I'm calling the series Wearing Purple because of that famous poem, When I Grow Old, I Will Wear Purple. I don't wear purple very often, I have to say, but it sort of reflects the fact that yes, I have been a bit of a rebel, as I hope will come out in these videos. I've, I've, I've also been a great questioner of the status quo. And again, I hope that that will come out in the videos too. So where did it all begin? For me, well, it began with my parents, William Edward Hooper and Violet Howells, meeting in a Christian festival, or what was called a Christian convention, in a place called Penygroes, deep in Carmarthen, in Welsh Wales, as we termed it. And my father was from Port Talbot, or more specifically from Cwm Afon. I nearly said Aberavon because that was the local beach, but he came from a place called Cwm Afon, which I had the pleasure of visiting with him when I was younger, and certainly as he became more frail, we went on a tour of Cwm Afon and to the house where he lived with his parents. My mother lived in Aberdare, and in 1947, when they married, that was quite a distance. And my mother moved to Cwm Afon to live with her in-laws. And there is a bit of a story attached to that because things didn't work out. My mother found it very difficult being away from her family in Aberdare. And I think it's fair to say that she found the in-laws rather difficult to live with. And my grandfather, it seems, in particular. And it's sad to say that the effects of that 18-month stay in Cwm Afon seem to have affected her quite deeply. And I think in modern times, she may well have needed to do some talking therapy in order to put those things to bed, as they say, or for those things and experiences not to affect her for the rest of her life. So that was a bit of a sadness. But my parents married in 1947. And then, as I say, moved to Aberdare, where my father worked as a bus driver. And my mother at that time, I think, was working in Lipton's, which is, I think, a greengrocer, but I would have to think about that one. I'd have to look that one up. And in 1950, although my mother has told me constantly that my father did not want children, I was born in March 1950. I was born in Cannon Row, I believe. I know there's a Cannon Place, but I think it was Cannon Row that no longer exists. It was by the side of the river, and the field is still there. It was a house that my grandfather had bought for my parents. My grandfather, who was a carpenter and joiner employed by the National Coal Board, as so many people were in the mining communities, he had obviously been a great saver, and he bought each of his children their first house. So my grandfather had bought this little house, which would be seen as very cute these days. And when I was born, my father wanted to call me Myrtle. Now, there's nothing wrong with that name. But my mother said that wasn't the name her daughter was going to get. So there was some heavy discussion about that. And it was my grandfather, who I was very close to, suggested that my name should in fact be Lois. In fact, he loved two names, Jennifer, Lois, but on my birth certificate I am simply called Lois, which at the time was not a particularly popular name, but it's one that I'm very proud of. And what I have to show for this video is a very, very precious teddy bear. This was bought for me when I was born by my grandparents. I don't think he's ever had another name other than Teddy. He did used to roar, and I can still feel the mechanism in his tummy which would enable him to do that. Maybe I should take him to the repair shop and get that mended. But I just love the way he's been extremely well loved, and of course it's very precious because it came from my grandparents, who I shall speak about at another time.